Hi, I'm Martin Yelverton. Today I'm going to be doing a guided run through the pawanmuktasana series. It's translated most commonly as wind releasing series. It's a set of yoga exercises designed to get the energy moving through the body, and there's a particular emphasis on joint mobilization. But by the time you get to the end of it, you will have used most of the muscles. It's a really good sequence that does something for pretty much the whole body. The idea is also to try your best to keep your mind fully engaged from beginning to end. So really noticing what's happening in each of the exercises. And many of them are simple, very easy to zone out while doing them. Try your best though. And if you do find yourself zoning out and wandering off, that's a good result, because it means you can come back and start paying attention all over again to what you're doing with your body. It's broken down into 3 sets of exercises, but I'm just going to pretty much run through them one series after the other, and it should let's just do it. I'm going to stop talking. I find myself in danger of rambling on. Let's just do it. I should also mention I'd like to mention that the original version of the pawanmuktasana series was put together by a yogi called Swami Satyananda in the 60s. So it's not one of these ancient sets of exercises. It's quite a modern set of exercises, and I do some variations on how you might see the series taught by other teachers. And my suggestion is always do it your way. I might make suggestions along the way as to how you might do one movement or another, but please really keep yourself as engaged as you can and adapt whatever is happening to suit your own set of bones and muscles and tendons and breath and all of the rest. Do it your way. And if anything doesn't feel right, particularly if anything hurts, just stop doing it. Take a little rest and come back when you're ready, or indeed turn YouTube off and walk away. Okay, let's start. Basic starting position is simply to sit on the floor, your legs out in front of you, comfortably open. If you want to, I would suggest a bit of support with the hands on the floor behind you, just so you can maintain a long spine. And just take a few moments simply to settle into the position. A lot of these movements can be done in coordination with the breath. For example, making one movement while inhaling and another movement while exhaling. That's a nice way of applying it, of applying the exercises. But if you find yourself having to think about that too much, just breathe naturally and move as mindfully as you can through the exercises. For the first one, we are sitting like this with our legs out in front of us, pulling the toes. We're keeping the feet reasonably upright, pulling the toes back towards the top surface of the foot, and then grabbing down with the toes. So going in the opposite direction, but not moving the feet much, just grabbing down with the toes as if you're trying to grab something with your toes. And then just repeating it, pulling the toes back and then flexing them forward like you're trying to grab with them. If you want to, you can do something like I was suggesting just now. So inhaling as you bring the toes back, exhaling as you grab forward. So just do this for a few more times now. Doing your best to notice what you feel in your body as you do the exercise. So notice that it's not just your toes where you're going to be feeling things happening. Just notice how that movement in the toes echoes through a large part of the body. When you bring the toes back to the top surface of the foot, try your best to open them out a little bit if you can. That's always good to get a bit of that in. And we're just doing this simple, very simple exercise, but we're doing it long enough to actually feel something in the body rather than rushing through it. And then eventually just relax. Just let your legs soften, let your feet soften, let anything that doesn't need to be working soften, relax. If at any point this position that we're sitting in with legs out, hands on the floor behind, if that feels uncomfortable between the exercise, you're welcome to change position and sit cross-legged or any other position that suits you. Next exercise, moving on to the ankles. Similar kind of thing to what we were doing with the toes, except we're moving the whole ankle. So first movement is to pull the tops of the feet towards the shin and then press the sole of the foot towards the floor. That's the second one. And just those two movements, backwards and forwards. Very easy to get super twitchy with these, but I'm going to suggest slowing down, and you can encourage that by using the breath, if that works for you. So maybe inhaling as you pull the feet towards your shin, exhaling as you press the soles towards the floor, but not compulsory to do it with the breath. Just try your best to do it slowly with full engagement of your mind. And even if you're not coordinating the movement with the breath, letting the breath flow softly, gently. Feeling whatever you feel in your body. Paying attention, noticing if your mind wanders off, and if you do, good result. You can come back and start paying attention all over again. Good, let's relax for a few moments now. Just rest, let your legs soften. Next movement is to make circles with the ankles. So you might want to take the legs out a tiny bit wider, doesn't really matter, and then just do your best to rotate your ankles. So moving the feet in a circle. Doesn't matter what direction you go, you might do one foot in one direction, one foot in another direction, it does not matter at all. Just getting the circular movements in one direction, and we'll stick with one way for a while. We'll change directions in a moment. Trying to make these big circles. So again, there's a bit of it's almost a repeat of the exercise we did just before this one, where you're flexing the ankle backwards and forwards. So we're still pushing down to the floor and still pulling the ankle back, except we've got the circling inwards and circling outwards component with this as well. And probably a bit of foot waving going on as well to make this happen, and indeed the toes. Probably the whole foot gets involved in this. Change directions. Might be a tricky one to pin breath to movement. I've noticed that I've kind of, after all I was saying about slow down, I've noticed that I've gone quite fast with this, and that's fine. With these exercises, some of them just seem to lend themselves to go a bit faster. Some work better slower. No wrong or right with how you do it, as long as it's not hurting you. Okay, I believe we've done both directions now. Just relax for a few moments. Okay, for our next one, called ankle cranks, going to bring one ankle up onto the other thigh, and if you can, going to try interlace your fingers between all of your toes. Okay, that can be tricky for a lot of people. So if you can, trying to interlace your fingers between the toes, and if you can't, simply grabbing your foot. Use the other hand to support the shin just above the ankle on the leg, and then does what it says on the tin. Crank that ankle in a circle. So it's kind of just like we were rotating the ankle on the floor, except we're using the hand now to maybe get a tiny bit more range, maybe, but trying to get as much circularity as you can in your rotations. It's change direction. Rotate your ankle in the other direction from where you started. And again, my body seems to be calling for slightly faster for me today, but it's perfectly fine to slow right down. Just pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, let's change sides. So same thing, other side. Bring the leg up, interlace the fingers if that works for you, interlacing the fingers between the toes. So you're really getting some of the benefits of spreading those toes out wide. They get so compressed from shoe wearing that we're doing a lot of the time. And or if that doesn't work, just grab your foot with your hand. And then same thing, crank your ankle in a circle. You might notice your ankle wants to resist a bit. Try and soften, and let the hand, the arm, do most of the work of turning the ankle. Try and soften now. Other direction, change direction. And then stop there and relax for a few moments. Remember, if at any point you need to change your seating position between the exercises, go wild. Next exercise is moving up to the knees now. So sitting with one leg out in front of you, take your hands behind other thigh, and lift it up. So and let this leg start off softly bent in. And then what you can do is really straighten the leg out as fully as you can, pressing out through the heel, and then bending it back in again and softening when you come in, just like that. Really press out through the heel, so lengthen the leg as much as you can, push out through the heel, and then just let the leg soften back in. A few more like that. This can be a nice one to slow down with the breath. Really doing your best to straighten that leg out as much as you can, and it can help the idea of pressing out through your heel as you do this. Let's change sides. Other leg, exactly the same thing. Start off by just finding the position, hands under the thigh. Let the leg relax for a moment, and then take it away. Press out through the heel as you really lengthen out that leg. Bend the knee. Just like that. Next time you've got your knee bent, let's end it there. And we're going to go back to similar kind of position, back to the other leg now. So once again, bringing the leg up, holding the back of the thigh. And for this one, we want to try to keep this, this lower part of the leg as loose and soft as we can, and then just make a circle with it. So kind of, you might want to have your hand right up near the knee, so you are kind of, we're basically trying to get that circling movement coming from around the knee, and it's not a very big circular movement at all. The knee joint's not designed like that, but there's a bit of circularity there, and find it. And as soft as possible, doing your best to keep the foot just still and relaxed. So we're not circling the ankle, we're circling at the knee, change directions. Keep it soft, soft circular movements from the knee. And again, like one of the reasons for holding the leg oblique, so we're sort of limiting movement in the hip joint a little bit, targeting that knee. Good, let's do the other side. Bring the other leg in, hold the leg, upper leg, let the lower leg relax and circle it. Soft, soft circles. Doing your best just to let it hang as you circle. And once again, I've gone for quick circles, but if you're in the mood for much slower, also works. I just think when you're softening joints like this, it can help to move a little bit quicker. Find out what works for you. Really change directions. Really, really key part of a practice like this is to get to know how your joints and your body works by watching closely and experiencing it. Sometimes sets of exercises like this, you'll get very, very, very specific directions as to how you must, what angles you must hold your body in and all that kind of stuff. And there's no need for it because every single body is very, very different. So whatever I'm showing you is kind of best suited for my body, but it's a template really, and you work the template to suit you. And let's relax. Sit for a few moments. Just let your legs soften. Next exercise, half butterflies. So bring one ankle up onto the other thigh. So your knees kind of up in the air. Take your hands and you're going to push that leg down towards the floor. At the same time though, as those hands are pushing the leg down, the leg's pushing back up against the hands. So there's two forces working against each other. There's a bit of release as you basically we're trying to mobilize this hip joint here. So you're pushing the leg towards the floor, but at the same time you're keeping that leg active. It's pushing back against those hands. If you are particularly flexible and putting yourself in this position just makes your leg just drop straight down to the floor, probably even more useful to push back with the leg. But this kind of active stretching is a very tasty way of doing it. So pushing with the hands, but pushing back against the hands with the leg. Just up and down a few times. Let's change sides. Same thing, other side. Bring the leg up. Push leg down towards the ground while pushing back with the leg. Take care. You're not trying. You definitely aren't trying to. You definitely aren't trying to force that knee down onto the ground. Definitely not. So don't force any of these movements. It's a small movement at the hip joint that we are primarily after here. Push the leg down while pushing back with the leg. And watch how strongly you do those movements. There's no need to push with all your strength with either the leg or the hands. Bit of gentle encouragement is all. Okay, release. Let the legs go out for a moment. Just relax, soften the legs before moving into full butterfly. So for full butterfly, we want to bring the feet together, bring the feet as close to the body as you can. In terms of seating position, you can bring your hands forward and grab the feet in front of you, if you can do that, while maintaining an upright spine. But if you find this sort of collapses puts tension into your spine, you can have your hands behind you for support. So to basically whatever you need to do to sit tall through the spine, either position, hands on the floor behind, grabbing the feet in front, and then just butterfly, making your legs go up and down like little butterfly wings. And just relax and breathe. Gentle fluttering. Breath moving, smooth, soft, relaxed. And from there, going to move into a comfortable cross-leg position. Simply sit as comfortably as you can in a cross-leg position. Take a few moments to rest. Notice echoes of the movements in your body. Going to move on to the wrists and fingers now. So for the first exercise, we're basically opening and closing a fist. And the way I'm going to suggest doing this is when you open your hands out really wide, quite a strong opening of the hands, so really spreading your fingers out as wide as you can, but making the fist soft. And it's one of these fists where the thumb comes across the front hands, not in the hand or like that. Just so we're basically trying to get as much. The reason we're doing that is not to be badasses; it's to bend the joints. Okay, so open the fingers out strongly, soft fist, just like that. Keep going. Maybe allow the elbows to come down towards the body. And just breathe. This could lend itself to one movement, one breath, if that works for you. So hard opening of the hands, soft closing of the fists. Relax, just bring your arms down and sit comfortably for a little while. Moving on to do some more stuff for the wrists now. So for this one, we're going to be flexing the wrist basically like this. Arm's going to be, I would suggest, if you want to, if it feels okay to have your arms out in front of you, do that, but not so you're straining your shoulders. Quite relaxed shoulders, a bit of a bend in the elbows is fine. And the idea here is to pull that wrist back as much as you can towards the top of the forearm. And then we're doing this with the hands. We're just bringing all the fingers together. So like making a point with the hands, like a weird creature's head. So it's like a beak. So you bring all the fingers together and you're trying to pull them up towards the underside of the forearm. So that's the movement, flexing that way and that way. Really as strongly as you can. As if you could pull You can't pull your fingers all the way back to the top of your forearm, but as if you could, all your strength, and then same thing, as if you could peck the underneath of your forearms with this beak you've made with the fingers. Relax for a few moments. And in fact, as you're relaxing, let the arms come into the body. Make soft fists and circle your fists softly. As much circularity as you can. So not going for hard fists, it's soft fists, just like the ones we were making just now. As much circularity as you can. Change directions. If you can remember which direction you are going in, I'll battle to remember what direction I'm going in sometimes. And then relax. We've been cross-legged for a while, so how about we change the cross of our legs? So whatever you got in front, change the cross of your legs. Might feel slightly weird, slightly awkward. Good to get out of the groove. Okay, let's do the next exercise, which basically you bring your fingertips to your shoulders and lift the elbows up. Reach out with the arms, the palms are facing up. You can let them come down again. Fingertips to the shoulders, lift up with the elbows, and repeat, just like this. It's almost like you'll find a certain circular kind of movement in it. Just play with it, explore it. But making a point of lifting those elbows up before you reach out with the arms, and then letting the elbows come in towards the body. So we're getting a bit of circular movement through the shoulders, even as we are flexing the elbow and extending the elbow. And then relax for a few moments. Got another shoulder exercise coming up now. So for this one, we want to have fingertips again on the shoulders, except not in front this time. The shoulders are out to the sides, and make some circles with your elbows as a means of getting circular movement through the shoulder joint. Change directions with those circles. And relax. Just relax. Let your hands come down. Just breathe. Coming to the end of the first part of the series with the set of exercises for the neck. So the first one is simply to bring your chin in towards your throat, so you're taking your head down, looking down, and then as you take your head back, push up with your chin. And it's just those two movements. Flexing the neck, extending the neck. But I do encourage you, particularly when you are extending the neck, taking your neck back, to push upwards and out with the chin. And only taking your neck back as far as feels comfortable. And then find a neutral position for your head. And we're going to go from one side to the other. So taking one ear down towards the shoulder, and then doing the same thing to the other side. I'm doing this moving, not pausing, but if it feels good for you to pause on one side and savor the stretch, go for it. Once again, find a neutral head, neutral neck, and we're going to go from one side to the other. Now for this one, see if you can use your eyes. So we're going to turn our head to one side, but as you take your head to the side, let your eyes go with the head, and sort of once your neck has reached its maximum rotation, let your eyes still keep, as if you're trying to peep behind your head with your eyes, but not pulling the shoulder around. We keep the shoulder square to the front the whole time. Just take your head to one side, then to the other side, nice and slowly, but try that with the eyes. Once you've gone to the end of your range, eyes keep going, and your eyes will eventually reach their range as well, but it's as if you're trying to look behind your head. Trying to soften the side of the neck that you're turning away from. And come back to your neutral position. We'll finish with some head circles or neck circles. So chin, think about when you take your head up, think about pushing upwards and outwards with the chin. And then maybe when you come down towards your chest, maybe think about pulling your chin and pressing it against your chest. So it's quite an active kind of circle, but pushing forward with the chin to kind of help to engage the neck muscles a bit. And just go in one direction for a while. Let's change direction. Remember, particularly with the extension, pushing up with that chin. Paying attention with your circles that you're not overdoing it. You're finding the range that's comfortable. And we will stop there. Get your head into a neutral position. And that's the end of the first part of the pawanmuktasana series. that's you probably will realize that you've gone through just about all the major joints in the body. And if you wanted to, you could walk off and carry on with your day. But I'm gonna go on through the other two series. So if you want to go through the full series, let's lie down and we'll take a few moments before we move into the second part of the series. You just lie still for a moment in Shavasana, corpse posture, just lying on your back, arms, legs comfortably apart. And if you don't like this posture, the nice alternative is always constructive rest position, feet on the floor, knees up, whatever you prefer. Okay, let's move on. First exercises are leg raises, and we do single leg raises first of all. So take one, if we want both of our legs on the ground for this now, so if you have been in constructive rest, get both your legs on the floor. One leg stays on the ground, the other leg hover it just above the ground and point the toes. So you're flexing as you're flexing the foot forward. So point the toes, and the idea of pressing out through the leg. There's your starting position. Take an inhale there, and as you exhale, lift the leg up, and as the leg comes up, pull the top of the foot towards the shin. So each time we raise and lower the leg, we are flexing the ankle a different way each time as well. Just like that. Go for it. I mean, I suggested an approach with the breath, but you don't have to take that approach. Inhaling as your legs close to the ground, exhaling to bring it up. Another couple more. And this idea of pushing through the leg, really useful. So when the leg's down, pressing out through the toes. When the leg's up, pressing out through the heel. And then let's relax for a moment before we do the other side. Just let that leg soften. Other side, hover the leg just above the ground, press through the toes, lengthen, point with the toes, and then bring the leg up. In time with the breath, if that works for you. So inhaling maybe when you're down, exhaling maybe when you're coming up. Next time your leg's down, let it come all the way down and just relax for a few moments. Preparing for the double leg raise, but we will start this in the raised position. So it's kind of almost like, could call it double leg lower. It doesn't really matter what it's called. Let's just do it. Let's get the legs up towards the ceiling. For this one, you could do exactly the same thing that we're doing with the ankle. So pointing the toes when the legs go down and flexing them towards the shin when the legs come up, but be free, which means one day you might do complete opposite direction, maybe even this day. But that's just an idea to help encourage lengthening through the legs, pressing through the heels or through the toes at various points. So let's start off with the legs raised. Inhale to take them down. You'll find that the lower the legs go to the ground, the stronger the exercise will be. Now, if you take your legs all the way down to the ground and your back is arching up and it's not feeling good, find a place where you can control it. You might also help find that, I'm just going to pause to take my legs down from you. You might find that when your legs are up, if you kind of pull your pubic bone towards your belly button, that's going to help engage your lower abdominals to support your spine on the floor some. So think about that while you're doing this exercise. So starting with the legs up and then lower them to wherever it feels sustainable. And just like that, up and down. Maybe inhaling when the legs go out in front, exhaling when they come up. few tasty abdominal tremors there. Let's do one more. And then bring your feet to the floor and take a few moments in constructive rest position. Or if you prefer, Shavasana with your legs on the ground and just relax. Next one, leg circles. So bring one leg up. I'm going to suggest for this time, pressing up through the toes, so really lengthen the leg out. Other leg stays on the ground, and then make some circles, so circling at the hip joint. We go 7 in one direction. I'll make that 3, 4. That can be as big or as small as feels right for your hip joint. 6 and 7. Let's do 7 in the other direction. But trying to encourage that sense of lengthening through the leg the whole time, so as if you're constantly trying to push something away with your toes as you make these circles. I've stopped counting. Let's just do a few, and I think we're near the end of the few for this side. And relax that leg down to the ground. Just soften for a few moments before we do the other side. Let's go. Let's bring the leg up. Point through the toes, so make the leg nice and long as you can. Do some circles in one direction. Pay attention to what your hip joint is saying. Your pelvis is definitely going to rock a bit from one side to the other, but try and control how much that happens. You're trying to limit that if you can. Trying to keep as much of the movement in the hip joint as you can, but that's definitely going to feed through into your whole body because it's got a moving leg attached to it. The pelvis is going to move. Change side, change direction, sorry. Circle in the other direction. And bring the leg down and relax. Next exercise is cycling. Now with cycling exercises, it's very easy to get a bit frantic and pedal too fast. I'm going to suggest let's take a really slow cycle today. Try our best to take a slow one anyway. So we still on our back, we bring our legs in. One leg's going out, the other leg's coming in. And we cycle just like this. The leg that goes out, consciously press out through that leg. Change directions with your cycling. So if you've been going forward, go backwards. If you started backwards, go forward. And that's enough. Relax. The next exercise is actually the one that gives the whole series its name. It's pawanmuktasana, wind releasing posture. We'll do a half form of it, then we'll do the full form. But this is the name of this posture is pawanmuktasana, which is one of the names that there is for wind releasing posture. But we'll start off with the half one. So for this, legs are on the ground. One leg comes in, we grab the leg, we bring our head up towards the knee, we take a breath or two there, and then we bring the body back down to the ground, we let the leg go out in front. And we stay on the same size. Same side, we'll do 2 more on this side. So bring the leg in, bring the head up towards the knee, hold for a breath or 2, lengthen the leg out, bring the body down. Last one, leg in, body up, head towards knee. Notice how this affects your breath because the leg will be pressing against your abdominal muscles, which are a key part of how you breathe. Lengthen out that leg, bring the body down. Same thing other side, we'll do 3 on the other side. So whenever you're ready, bring that leg in, bring the body up, head towards knee. Pause for a moment or 2. Lower and lengthen. And again, bring it in. Release it. One more time, bring the leg in, bring the body up towards the leg, the head towards the knee. And lengthen. Pause before we do the full version of wind releasing posture in movement. Okay, both legs come in, grab the front of the legs, shins, bring the head up towards the knees, bringing the chin in towards the throat. As you do that, hold it for a few moments. Notice how you'll probably have to take small little breaths now to breathe comfortably in this position. Body down, legs out. Repeat, legs come in, we lift up. Lengthen out, body down. Last one, bring the legs in, lift the head towards the knees while taking the chin in towards the throat. Breathe as best you can. Bring it all down and relax for a few moments. The next exercises involve a little bit of rolling. So I'm going to check that my space is okay for rolling, and I believe it is. So maybe do the same, check that you've got a, we're not rolling across the whole floor, but we're rolling from side to side and then backwards and forwards. So make sure you have got a little bit of space around you for that. So for the first one, we're going to do some side rolls. So bring your legs in, grab the top of your legs, and rolling doesn't work for everybody. At its simplest level, you might just kind of rock from side to side on your back. However, if you are up for a bit of rolling, you kind of roll all the way over onto one side. Notice that my head's up. As you roll onto the side, the head is up. Turn your head as if you're trying to look behind you. And then roll back onto your back and do the same thing to the other side. Roll onto your side, turn your head like you're trying to look behind you, and keep going like this a few more times. Just rolling from one side to the other, but keeping your head off the floor and turning your neck to look behind. And if rolling doesn't work for you, simply lying on your back and rocking gently from one side to the other. That little head turn, it's a very nice component of this side rolling. Squeeze it in if you can. And eventually ending up on your back. Next one, rolling backwards and forwards longwise on the spine. Again, if rolling is not your cup of tea, it might simply be that you bring your legs in and you gently massage your spine by rocking backwards and forwards. But if you're up for a bit of rolling, bring your head in, your chin towards the throat, gather a bit of momentum, use your legs if you want to. Just have a bit of fun while you're rolling backwards and forwards on your spine. Trying to round the spine. That's going to facilitate some nice rolling. So the whole time, more or less, the spine is flexed. A bit of rounding. I would say the next time you're up, be up for a while, because it's kind of, I think, easier when you've got momentum going to pause for a moment before you bring yourself back down onto the floor. Take a rest. Relax. Okay, for the next exercise, we're going to be twisting at the waist. So it's kind of an exercise that uses pretty much all the muscles around the waist, all the core muscles, including the obliques, the muscles on the sides of your torso. So to start off with, take your hands behind your head, interlace maybe, elbows out to the sides. Bring your legs up into kind of a tabletop position, which is not bringing the legs all the way into the body, kind of roughly 90 degrees-ish, although with the human body, this degrees are not unique. Everyone's got their own unique degrees, is what I mean to say. So this is a tabletop position. Then take your legs over to one side while trying to keep your shoulders, your elbows on the ground, and turn your head in the direction away from where your knees have gone over. It doesn't matter if the legs don't come all the way down to the ground. Bring them up again, pause in the center, and then do the same thing to the other side. We're just warming this one up slightly. Looking towards the other elbow, so the legs have gone one way, the head's gone the other way. Come back to the center, pause for a moment with your feet on the ground, and then we will turn this more directly into an abdominal exercise. So the hands are behind the head again. This time we're bringing the upper body up a little bit. Coming back to our tabletop position with the legs, taking the legs over to one side, and the opposite elbow comes towards the ground. And repeat just like this. Legs go to one side, other elbow goes down towards the ground. So this time we're not taking the legs anywhere near the ground. We're kind of halfway-ish. And see if you can control the movement from the center of the body. And even though the upper body's come up a bit, we're not trying to pull up towards the legs. And then come to center, relax, lengthen out the legs. The next one is a still side twist. So take your arms out to one side, bring one leg in, bring it up as close as you want to, as close as you can. And then take it across the other leg towards, so the foot comes onto the floor, knee might stay way up, doesn't matter. If you want to, you can take the hand that's on the same side that the knee's gone over to and lightly pull down. I would suggest not trying to force it down as low as you can, but a bit of gentle pressure might feel good. Otherwise, just let gravity do the work and turn your head again in the opposite direction of where that leg is. And try and soften here. Not trying to force this position. Just breathe. Slowly wind yourself out of the posture. Center your body again so your pelvis feels like it's nice and centered on the ground. Lengthen out your legs, and we're going to do the same thing with the other leg coming over. So bring the other leg in, bring it across the body over to the other side, foot on the floor. Knee might come down, it might not, and you might use the opposite hand to pull down on the leg a little bit, but very gentle, not forceful. But just a bit of gentle encouragement might feel good, and gazing in the other direction from where the knee is. You don't have to do this pressing on the leg. It's fine to keep the arm out and just let gravity take it. It's probably a much higher form of it if you just do your best to soften. But I quite like a little bit of this gentle encouragement with the hand. And then slowly center yourself again. Take a few more moments on your back. Lengthen out the body. Preparing for the last exercise in this series, which is half boat. We'll do 3 of them. We'll just move into the position, then out of the position twice, and then we'll hold the position for a few breaths for the last one. So to come into the position, bring your legs in towards the body, bring your head up towards your knees, so your chin's coming towards the throat, reach the arms out in front of you, send your legs out in front of you, reverse out of the position, come to the ground. No need to lengthen the legs all the way out, just bring your feet to the floor, bring the body back down. Same thing another time, bring the legs in, bring the head up towards the knees, chin towards the throat, reach the arms forward, send the legs out in front of you, bring them in again, and lower back to the ground, feet on the floor, knees up, head back on the ground. And for the last one, let's maybe hold it for 5, 6 or 7 seconds. We'll see how it goes. Bit of a trembler, certainly for me, for lots of people. It's good, unless you do it all the time. Let's go. Final half boat. Bring the legs in, reach forward with the arms. Let's go, let's hold it. Bring the legs in. Bring everything down. Take a moment in Shavasana or constructive rest if you prefer. And that's the last exercise in the second part of the series. We're getting into the final bit of the pawanmuktasana series now. So you'll probably have noticed that that second set of exercises was a bit more muscular than the first set, which was very, very joint orientated. I think the third set, which we're about to begin, kind of combines muscular and joint work quite strongly together. So we're going to be coming up for this. How about we take a crafty sit-up? Reach the arms behind you, legs out in front of you, legs together. Bring the arms up, forward, sit up, stretch forward. And then we come back to our original seated position that we had right at the very beginning with our legs out in front of us. Okay. Preparing for the last set of exercises. First one, rope pulling. I'm just trying to see if my hand's going to vanish off the top of the camera. It is, but I don't think that. Actually, I might as well just for the sake of fastidiousness, bring the camera up a tiny bit for this one. Okay, so what we want to do, the exercise works like this. We reach one arm up, our hands are open, and when our arms are up, we grab like you're trying to grab something with your hands, like a rope. It's called rope pulling, this exercise. So like grabbing a rope, and you're not trying to pull your arm out of the shoulder joint. Try and get as much of the lifting from the torso as you can. So kind of lifting up from the body as you reach up, grab the rope, pull down as the other arm goes up. Same thing, the hands are open, grab, pull down, arm goes up, open the hands at the top again to grab your rope, pull it down, and we just go like this. And try to sit as tall through the waist the whole time as we can, particularly at that point where we reach up and grab the next bit of rope. It's all imaginary rope, right? At least I think it is. Quite strong lifting from the torso. And then making a fist as you grab down with the rope. Pull down with that rope. And relax. Maybe having your legs out in front of you straight felt like a bit much and it feels good to cross your legs for a while, go for it. Okay, our next exercise is a dynamic twist, and once again it's kind of targeting all these muscles around the muscles between our rib cage and our pelvis. They're commonly described as core muscles, which I guess is as fair a description as any, but the whole idea of core is a bit kind of dated these days. But these are the muscles we're targeting here, all around the waist. So for this one, sit with the legs a little bit straddle seat, so a little bit open, arms out to one side, twist in one direction. The arm that's coming inwards, just bring it down against the leg maybe, so the palm's facing outwards, maybe pushing against the leg a little bit as you really doing your best. You're not trying to push yourself into the movement, so it's just a bit of support here. Most of the work is coming here from the waist. Twisting to one side, looking towards the backhand, and then simply changing sides like that. Just feel your way into what you're doing with the arms. Just go from one side to the other, nice and slowly, trying to feel as much as you can the twist coming from the waist. Sitting as tall as you can in the movement. Also using your neck to look behind you to the arm that goes behind. I think that's probably about enough. And once again, just relax. We're going to have our legs out in front. You might want to rest your legs again by cross-legged. It can get quite tiring for the hip flexors, the muscle at the top of the thighs, sitting with the legs out in front while doing some strong exercises. Next exercise is called churning. So legs out in front, just a relaxed kind of distance with the legs out in front. Going to interlace the hands together like that. Arms are going to be out in front of us. I'll quickly show what the movement is like. It's basically you stretch forward, so you're folding forward with the body, and you're going to the side. You're leaning back. When you're leaning back, you go to the other side, and that's basically the movement. But you're circling from the waist. What to watch out for here is doing that with the arms. We don't want to churn with the elbows, you want to churn from the waist. So that's the movement. So folding forward, flexing the spine, and then extending the spine as you come back and out to the side. And we'll just go in one direction for a few more churns. Only going back as far as feels sustainable for your body. You don't need to go all the way down to the floor or anything crazy. But trying to keep the arms straight, not churning with the elbows. There's a bit of circular movement with the hands. You'll find that as the body is doing the circling, the hands will do the similar kind of movement. Okay, pause. I found that while I've been churning away, I've kind of slid backwards a little while, so I'm going to just readjust my position before we do the other direction, but we're going to do the same thing in the other direction. So interlace the hands, and whichever way you weren't churning in last time, change directions. Keeping the arms straight, the circular movement coming from the waist. let's end it there. Relax for a few more moments. Take a little rest. Got another exercise with legs out in front in a moment. So if it helps to bend your legs and sit cross-legged for a while, please do. Okay, the next exercise is called rowing. It's exactly like it sounds. We're rowing an imaginary boat. So legs out in front again, comfortably open. No need to be wide. No need to be together. Just what feels comfortable. And we flex. So we fold forward, hands out in front of us. We grab as if grabbing imaginary oars, and we come back. We lean back, and as we come back, we bring the hands, grabbing these oars down to the waist. So the elbows come behind the body. So there's that pulling movement at the shoulders, basically. All the back muscles are actually making this happen. And we've come back, reach forward, flex, grab the oars again, just like this. Keep going. Make it a slow, relaxed, gentle row across a peaceful lake. No need to enter the boat race. So we are getting that flexion of the spine, so rounding a bit as you come forward, and extending the spine as you come back. There we go. I think we've made it to the other side. Let's stop. Rest for a few moments. Okay, the next set of exercises are done in a squatting position, which I know can be very challenging for a lot of people squatting. So if you're not comfortable squatting for a reasonably extended period, I'm not talking forever, it's not a marathon. There's a few squatting exercises, but if you're not comfortable squatting, you can probably adapt what I'm doing with the arms and the spine in a seated position, but I'm going to offer the suggestion of, I happen to handily have a couple of yoga blocks handy, but you can use a rolled up towel or even a big book, or just something to basically make the ground a little bit higher, because we're going to rest our heels on whatever we've got. That my suggestion, because I happen to have a couple of yoga blocks. So there, see my heels up off the floor and the front of my feet. That can help a lot of people who struggle with squatting fully on the floor, with flat feet on the floor. That can help a lot if you're working on your squat, to raise your heels up. So pause for a moment now before we carry on, and decide whether you are comfortable to spend some time in a full primal squat, or if you need to have a bit of lift underneath the heels. Because the next set of exercises are done. Next set's done from a squatting position. So let's proceed with what we're going to do. So whatever form of squatting position you found, next exercise is called chopping. So it's a similar kind of thing to what we did with the churning, interlacing the hands, arms are out in front. We reach up, and you got it. We kind of chop down, but let's do it slow. The movement is like a chopping movement, but slow. So you'll find as you reach the arms up, the spine's going to extend a bit. As you bring them down, it's going to flex a bit. So rounding and extending. When you've gone up, really reach up. And then come down a few more times. Let's do one more. And then relax. You might be happy to relax in your squatting position. You might want to sit down for a few more moments. We're going into another exercise with the squat very soon. Okay, so for this one, prayer position with the hands, arms coming in between the legs. So there's one position. We reach the prayer position out in front. We take the head down a bit and we flex the spine. So we let the spine round. We bring in the chin in towards the throat and we're reaching out with our prayer position. We bring the hands back towards the body as we extend the spine. So once again, it's flexing the spine as we reach forward, extending as we come back in. You might, when you bring your hands back in, or your legs, your arms in between your legs, you might take a moment to squeeze the arms with your thighs, just as a little bit of extra juice for the exercise. And then repeat. Keep going like this, a few more. Next time your arms are in, let's leave them there and relax. Whether you want to relax in your squat or sit on the floor, just take a breather before we do the next exercise. It's also got a squat in it, and it's the only exercise in the series where we kind of stand up a little bit, but not fully. Okay, if you have been resting in a seated position, get yourself back into your squat. And what it is we squat, we straighten the legs out, we take a forward fold. So kind of bring the chin in towards the throat, look up towards the belly button, try pull the bottom of your rib cage up towards your pelvis. So using your abdominals, but without having to think about it too much, just the idea of pulling your rib cage towards your pelvis. And then squat down again, moving in and out of those two positions. If it feels good to hang out for a while in your forward fold, or indeed your squat, do that. Just move in and out of those two positions. And the next time you're down, stay down. And I'm going to suggest take a seat across legs for a while, because the next exercise, also a squatting exercise, probably the hardest exercise in the series. It's a little bit crazy, but hey, it might be fun. Basically, it's called crow walking, and it's getting into a squatting position and walking while squatting. So depending on the state of, or just depending on how you are able to squat, how you do this exercise is very different. You can, if you go onto YouTube, you can find all sorts of fascinating instructions on how to do crow walking. But really, it's too. There is no correct way of doing it. It's your way, and the way that feels safe for you is the way to do it. And you can do it whether you're squatting flat on your feet, or you can do it whether you're squatting in front. You can even use your hands to support you on the floor. So I would say if squatting flat on your feet is too much on the balls of your feet, and then you might be doing something like that. You might even be using your hands for support. Same as squatting flat on your feet. So basically, we're going to walk. I don't know. I haven't got a yoga mat. You might be on a yoga mat. You might not. We're going to take a few steps forward we're going to do a few crow walk steps forward. We're going to turn around when we get to the other end and then walk back again. Okay. So play with it. Whatever squat you got, see if you can make this exercise work for you. And if it doesn't, chill. It's cool. Let's go. Bit of crow walking. Once you get to whatever side you're going to, take a bit of time to transition. So you're facing back from where you came, and off we go. And then sit. Crow walking. Relax for a few moments. Two more exercises in the series, and the last one, you'll be pleased to know, or perhaps you will be pleased to know, is Shavasana, final resting position. But before we get there, it's a kind of a twist in a squatting position. So once again, we are in a squat. Going to take one leg down towards the floor, and I mean, it's quite a difficult one to, okay. So I'm changing positions again. So we're going to come forward, and we've come up on one foot. You don't really necessarily, I mean, just what we're doing here, right, is one of your feet, the one that comes down, the leg that comes down towards the ground, that foot kind of is upright, and we're twisting in the opposite direction. So I was kind of overthinking about it. I was overthinking it just now when I was talking about it, but that's the movement. It's moving in and out of that squatting position to a twist at the waist. Use your hands, at various stages. One foot, you're on the ball of the foot and the toes, which is a really good stretch for the foot of that, for that back foot. And the other foot, doesn't matter whether the foot's flat on the floor or not, but we're trying to get that waist twist and look over the shoulder. We're twisting in the direction of. You might be using your hand for a bit of gentle encouragement on the leg to pull you into the twist, but not over pulling. As ever with twisting, trying to get as much of the work coming from the waist as you can. And that's probably enough. Take a few moments to bring yourself into a final resting position of your choice. Whether it's Shavasana, constructive rest position, feet on the floor maybe, or even lying on the front of your body in some way. Just lie down however is most comfortable for you and relax. Take a few moments to observe whatever sensations you can feel in the body. And by observe, I'm not talking about eyes, I'm talking about feeling. Feel what you feel. Just notice vibrations, tinglings, twitchings in the body. The temperature of whatever space you're in on your skin. The movement associated with your breathing. As your breath settles, as your breath feels like it's more under your control, because your heart rate might have risen a bit towards the end of the exercises, as everything slows down again, actively start encouraging your breath to slow. Let your body be as soft as you can let it be. And just rest. I would encourage you, if you have the time, to carry on resting for a little while longer, but I'm going to leave you there now. And if you've made it from the beginning to the end and you're still with me, thank you for watching this video and taking part in this practice. And if you want to find out anything more about what I do, there will be a link to my website wherever I post this. Take care. Cheers. Thank you. Bye.